Hello, this is Dr. Lewerenz at Longevity Health Institute. Good afternoon, evening, morning, wherever you're at, listen to this. I'm going to do a little practice here, a little exercise I think you're really going to find interesting, and I'm going to tell you why I do it. And I do it with all my concierge patients, all my patients that are in a plan that I really spend a lot of preventative time with them and proactive time with them, not just in solving their goals and what they're looking for here, but also giving them the best in, if you will, longevity or in our bandwidth of life to prevent disease and dysfunction in that and to thrive. But what's really, really important that I can't do for you, so we're going to do an exercise, and I'm going to tell you to take some time to set aside after you watch this video to do this yourself. This is for you. It's not for your spouse. It's not for your sister, brother, best friend. It's for you. Now, whoever you want to be slightly vulnerable with and share this with, typically your spouse, I think that's going to have a huge impact and be important. But that is what I call the 5-10 or the 5-10 year plan. Now, usually I say around age 45 and younger, you might want to cut this into living intentionally and making a 5-year model, meaning a 5-year projected plan model where you see yourself, okay? Or, when you're 50s, 55, you might want to do a 10-year, and the reason is because that likely gets towards, if you will, potential retirement or second careers or downscaling your work hours, etc. And this is related, I want to stress this, to your health. I promise I'm going to connect this all, okay, very important. So the exercise is really simple. It's really simple. It's clearing your mind. It's taking a moment, take a deep breath, relax, okay? Don't do this, in the car or at a light, or don't do this with a lot of noise or TVs on and all that. Close your eyes maybe, but clear your head and just take 10, 15 minutes after you've cleared your mind in that to write down a narrative that you want to see yourself, what you want in your life in the next 5 years, and then even potentially, again, depending on your age, 10 years. So if 10 years seems too daunting, I think, that this is something that, you can decide. But if it seems too daunting, like for myself, I did do this, and I don't mind saying it when I did my 10-year recently, but I really think this is important to redo every couple of years, is I had to go, it's January 2033. I'm 63 years old. Oh shit. So no, I'm joking there, but it really makes you kind of, grasp what it is. But again, you visualize that. So again, it's 5 or 10 years from now, and you say to yourself, I'm this age, this is the year it is, and this is visually how you see it. And you write this down. When you write things down, it makes it real. Whether you type it in a computer or handwrite it or what have you, it makes it real. You help visualize it, and you actually are creating intention for your life, okay? So whether you want to write a story, whether you want to make this a bullet point, but these are goals you want, whether it's a health goal, your weight, your career, your bank account, relationships, where you see and envision your kids, where you see them in your life, hobbies, interests, travel, etc., relationships, you name it, but where you see and visualize yourself, okay? If you can't see it and don't have the intention to live it, it won't happen, okay? Things will happen in your life, things will evolve, but it'll be a bit reckless, okay? Now, most of my patients, when I do this, which is so important for their health too, and I'm kind of want to bring this full circle, is when they do my 5-10 or my 5-10 year kind of model or plan. And again, this is mostly when we have time, and I kind of break this down with my concierge patients and my longevity personalized protocol patients is what we call our model with concierge. Is when we take that time, most of the things in there are going to be very important for them to achieve this and for it to really happen. They're going to have to be healthy. They're going to have energy. They're going to have to be, or they want to be in an enthusiastic part of their life. and forward thinking still and energetically in the brain and etc. So not just relationships and financials and business and friends and hobbies, etc., but you need good health to have that. So usually somewhere in that story or in that dialogue or in that bullet point that they create, usually there is things related to their health, their exercise, their hobbies, their diet, their weight. Maybe they're into sports, so still achieving something in their 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, whatever it is. Okay, so that's a huge exercise to do. And I really, really, really empower you and ask you, anybody out there, to do this, and to do this for yourself. Then obviously be slightly vulnerable, bring it to your spouse, friends if you want, if you feel that comfortable. Okay, obviously your spouse is going to matter because you're going to live life together. Okay, but what's really, really, really important here is, why do we do this? Well, because in my model here, in our 6-point model at Longevity Health Institute, we're dissecting your health foundation. And one of it is mind, body, psychological, spiritual stuff. How can you have a good soul? How can you have a good life? How can you feel fulfilled and loved and love in your life as you age? Okay, if you don't have living with intention. And part of that 6-point model is actually psychologically, emotionally, spiritually, to being sound, to being good. Okay, it's very hard to get anywhere at a spiritual, soul, psychological, emotional level when we're just out there rogue and seeing if things happen or work, or it's just at the hip. Okay, and this is coming from a very spontaneous person. Okay, I've been accused of being slightly too spontaneous and not having enough attention in my personal life, but we'll put that aside. But my point is this, is that living with intention, things actually happen. Okay, so very important, because why? Then we're not stressed. Then we're not, we're not unfulfilled. Our souls are full of love and emotion and goodness and that. Why? Because things are happening that we project, that we visualize, and that we plan. Okay, even at an emotional relationship, in-depth part. And I promise you, this is going to impact your health 100%. I see it in my practice, down to objective things in labs, but I'm telling you, it's huge. Now, there's a unified theory also of aging. Okay, so when you talk about longevity and prevention, there's a unified theory of aging. And one of the things that are really big is this 3-point model in a unified theory of aging. And that is a effect on your genes, if you will, telomerase, okay, and genetic degradation, essentially DNA degradation. The other one is things that, in this unified theory of aging, is essentially, how our toxicity, if you will, or our exposures, okay? And the third thing is inflammation and immunity. So meaning, if you have all these reasonably in control, you're going to age slower and gracefully. These are things that we test here in our office, and we can tell you very effectively where you're at and where you stand biologically, chronologically, etc. But my point here is this. When you live in this model and you do a 5-10 or a 5-10-year plan, like I say, okay, for your life, it's going to include your health, okay, and you will impact your telomeres. You'll impact your genetics. It's going to affect things like how you eat, how you exercise, which is going to affect things like inflammation and immunity, okay, how you detoxify. So it's going to affect all these unified, effects of aging that we all want to prevent, okay? No one wants to be sicker and live long and have all these, what we call comorbidities, these illnesses, okay? So you have to have an intentional mindset, an intentional focus and plan to really fill your soul and actually do some of these wonderful things that you all deserve, okay? But it's got to start with some intention, some plan. The other thing is this: we all fall off course. We all do. Whether it's drinking a little too much alcohol, whether it's not exercising enough, whether it's not just getting out of our chair at the desk of the day and not moving our body enough, not going to the gym enough, whether it's, unfortunately maybe inviting or cultivating a negative relationship in our life or accepting that, whether it's a trauma that we haven't really recognized or dealt with, whether it's a small trauma or a big trauma in the past or near recent, past. My point here is is that we all go off course, okay? And when you have this 5-10 plan and you do this authentically and you live with some of this intention, okay? And again, it can be tweaked and modified year by year, okay? I always say, I tell patients to put it in their closet or put it by their desk or post it up on a wall, privately, but just so that they can see it. Because then when you get a little rogue, we all wake up with that pit in our stomach. Sometimes we drank too much, we didn't sleep enough because of lifestyle stuff. We haven't vacationed enough and take time with loved ones and kind of, check in with people that our relationships matter. We haven't, kind of connected as a community with some people that we love and care about. Or, we haven't, we've eaten bad, we've gorged, holidays have been too good to us, if you will, okay? But you can go back to that and you can say, are what I'm doing living with intention for my goals, for my next 5 or my next 10-year plan, okay? And again, whether that's diet, exercise, some health choices, or relationships, or a job, or a hobby, or any of these things. So it all goes together. My goal is for all my patients to be very healthy, to live optimally, but to be very proactive and preventative. And what I find is if you don't incorporate some of this part in your life, you are a bit lost. And when we get lost, we get unfulfilled, we get frustrated, we often end up with health issues. So it all goes together. I hope you can see that. This is Dr. Lewerenz. You be well, but live intentionally. Do the 5-10-year model. I promise it'll serve you well. Be well.